You all know I hate the British government, but never have I been more irritated than when being asked to scan my face just to see certain kinds of content. I mean, who wants to look at my face when I'm in that situation anyway? It's bizarre. But thanks to Surfshark, we can have all the fun we want now without having to have our bloody face scanned. You see, Surfshark is actually amazing. You can install it on any device. It's literally one click onto the Surfshark, one click, I'm now in America, and that's straight back onto that bloody lovely website I was about to enjoy. Boom. We're in business. And that's not all it's good for. We all know we like to watch live football, live boxing, and in Britain, that's been made very difficult. Well, Surfshark comes in handy, let me tell you. And for all its amazing benefits that it's brought to my life, I can't believe that it costs less than a coffee a month. Honestly, it's fantastic. We do YouTube brand deals. We have to, right? We've got to keep the lights on. This is brilliant. I'm telling you now. And actually, another big benefit is it masks your IP, so it keeps all your data private when you're browsing online. And you can get an amazing deal when you click the link in the description below, because they are doing 4 months extra for free on top of your normal deal. Just throwing it in. So click my link in the description below, because this is an absolute game changer. Do it now. Paddy the Baddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje was just straight up motherfucking violence, wasn't it? Fucking loved it. And there's people online criticizing it, and I'm like, what the fuck do you want, really? How many fights do we sit through, whether it be boxing or MMA, where you've got two fighters in there who are, yes, they're fighters, but they're not fighters to the level that some people are. There's some fighters who were willing to die to win a world title. That's what we were talking about in there tonight. They were risking it all. They never took a step backwards. They were constantly trying to brutalize each other. That was a throwback to the days when I first started watching MMA. Those are the fights that built the UFC. We're talking Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, BJ Penn. We're talking a level of violence that blew a demographic of men away, where we were like, holy shit, we need to start watching fucking this cage fighting shit. This was a throwback to those classic old MMA fights. Yes, it might not have been the best technical fight you've ever seen. Who gives a shit? Sean O'Malley's fight, the fight beforehand, very technical. Will anybody remember it? Will they fuck? No disrespect to Sean, he's a fucking talented fighter. But when it's do or die like that, it just fucking, it lives in the memory. And that's a fight of the year contender. We're in January. Big credit to Justin Gaethje. He pulled out the win. But I do want to spend a minute just to tell you a little story about Paddy the Baddy. Here's a clip from my show in 2020 when Justin Gaethje fought Khabib for the title. And Paddy was on my show. We were talking about, you know, the future of the lightweight division. And ironically, we were talking about a lot of fighters who he has since beaten since that show. Now, that show was a year before his UFC debut, and I knew he was a good fighter back then. I'd seen him at Cage Warriors. But after the show, we were just talking, and he looked me dead in the eye, and he goes, I'm going to be one of the biggest stars in the UFC. A year before his debut. And I just thought, yeah, maybe. I thought, looking at his skill set, I thought, you know what? You've got a long way to go to get to that elite level, but there's something about him. But I don't know if I fully believed it, but he did. And it's that belief that puts you into positions like this, because yes, he lost the fight, but there was a period where when Paddy had that iffy decision, people thought he didn't belong anywhere near a Justin Gaethje, and he's come on a long way. And I think he can look at this fight one of two ways. He can get downhearted and think, well, I didn't win, or you can think, well, it was my first go at it. I've got a lot to learn. Look at the likes of Michael Bisping. You've got to keep fucking coming and coming in order to get your hands on that gold at some point. And that was the first time Justin Gaethje's gotten to 5 full rounds. And I think Paddy proved a lot to a lot of haters out there that, like, look, all right, you might not like him, whatever. He's got fucking balls and he's willing to fight to the bitter end. So let's get into the fight. Round 1, Paddy was, as I thought he would be at the start, using his reach. He's got quite a long reach for, a lightweight. Trying to keep Gaethje at distance so he could use that reach. But the minute Gaethje closed the distance and put that pressure on, Paddy ended up on the deck. I think that he said that there was a body shot that caught him in the exchange. The camera didn't capture it very well, actually. I do think at that point in round 1, that should have been the only lesson he needed to learn about this fight, of what plan A should be. Because if plan A was to stand and trade with Justin Gaethje, that for me would have been the moment that I would have went, right, okay, you've clearly got a bit of an advantage here. Let's get the feet to the ground while I've got the energy to do it. And I don't know why. and we'll get onto this, but he just didn't. But to be fair to Paddy, when he did get back on his feet, he was outlanding Gaethje from distance, and until he got an eye poke, he was looking fucking good. Now, there was a few eye pokes, and this is just one of the images where Addy got a poke in the eye, but like, fucking hell, man. Have we not learned anything from the Tom Aspinall saga? I think he got poked in the eye 3 fucking times. That should have been a point deduction, because when Gaethje is approaching him, he's literally approaching him just as the way it happened with Tom Aspinall. Hands out. There's no attempt to do anything there. It's not a punch at all. If you do that, you don't get a warning, you get a fucking point deduction, because it's the only way to sort this shit out. Imagine we'd had another main event ruined because of that stupid shit. And I love Gaethje, but that is just, it happened a few times. And it impacts the way the fight's going. It absolutely does. And it gives you an unfair advantage. Now, when they re-engaged after the eye poke, Justin presses forward, lands bombs on Paddy against the cage. And he just punished Paddy because Paddy's moving back in a straight line against the cage, chin in the air. You just can't do that against Justin Gaethje. You have to be moving around the cage and make him chase you. That said, in round 1, you could say that Paddy outlanded him. I think the statistics back that up. So a lot of people gave round 1, and I think even Paddy did, to Gaethje, but you could make the argument that Paddy won that round, especially if they'd have took the fucking point away for the eye poke. Round 2 starts, Paddy's mixing it up well, you know. You've got Justin who's headhunting and just looking for that one-punch knockout. Paddy's actually showing, I've developed an overall game here on the feet. Lovely low kicks, lovely jab. It's not just predictable. But when Justin Gaethje rushes in, he is fucking connecting, and I'm watching thinking you can't keep taking them. There's a time limit on how many of them you can fucking take. And as Justin keeps that pressure up, it just feels like Paddy's beginning to fade a little bit. And then there's another fucking eye poke where Paddy takes like a left eye poke and then the right hand behind it, and Paddy goes down, which obviously looks fucking terrible because they don't acknowledge the eye poke. The referee misses it somehow. And as the round ends, Paddy's on the ground getting beaten up. It looks like he's fading under the pressure, and it just looks like while he's done all right when he's been on the feet, he can't get the respect of Justin Gaethje, and Gaethje's like, nah, fuck all this, I'm going straight through you, mate. And at the end of round 2, the corner are screaming at Paddy, get the fucking takedown, mate, and rightly so. And I have to admit, I was quite surprised in round 3 because Paddy came out surprisingly looking all right. He looked fairly fresh. I thought he was going to come out like a bit of a shadow of what he was at the start of the fight. And actually, he starts fighting Justin perfectly. He doesn't go back in a straight line and gets himself pressed up against the cage. He starts circling round, keeping Justin, chasing him, and it did look like maybe Justin put quite a lot into that round 2, and Paddy was able to pick him apart on the feet. Paddy lands that backhand, gets a reaction this time from Justin Gaethje. I'm like, holy shit, man. We've got a fucking fight on our hands. Yeah, because I was worried this was all going one way. And I do have to acknowledge, Paddy also made a foul of his own. He kneed Justin Gaethje in the balls. I don't think it was deliberate, and I don't think it was deliberate when Justin Gaethje did it later in the fight as well. That's a bit a different one than the eye pokes for me. Those eye pokes, there's no fucking need to be doing that. Of course, you need to throw a knee into the gut or whatever, you can misjudge that. I get how that can happen. Now, Justin does land a nasty right hand at the end of round 3, but there's no way I gave round 3 for Justin. It was a Paddy round. Some could argue, and I know this might be controversial, that Paddy was 2-1 at this point in round 3. I'm not saying I would necessarily. I think that first round was a tough one to score, but maybe. But round 4 was where the championship rounds and the championship mentality of Justin Gaethje really showed, in my opinion. He starts off no fucking messing around. Big right hand right on the jaw of Paddy. Paddy looked hurt immediately. You've seen it just take something away from him. Gaethje follows it up. Paddy sort of flops into a takedown attempt that was never going to work, and you're like, oh, it's looking a little desperate here. Paddy's then getting smashed up against the cage. I'm just watching like, shit, man. How the fuck is he taking these? Like, how is this still happening? I know you said Scousers don't get knocked out, but you don't need to put that to the test. Can we just get off the cage? As I said, Gaethje does land a shot to the nuts. When the restart happens, Paddy then ends the round somehow, throwing multiple shots at Gaethje after it looked like it was all going one way, and does rally back a bit at the end of the 4th round. Clearly a Justin Gaethje round, very dominant, the most dominant round of the fight so far, and pretty damaging, but fucking hell, fair play to Paddy. Round 5 starts with Paddy's corner again begging him to go for a takedown. They're saying, you need to fucking submit this guy here. You're not going to win this otherwise. So they're convinced they're down on the scorecards 3-1. And Paddy goes out there and throws a bunch of shots, and he is landing. Justin just responds with a fucking bomb. And you're like, bloody hell. It is the equalizer in this fight. He just regains control using that power. So Gaethje's landing the bigger shots, but Paddy somehow stays with it, and he does start throwing again himself as the round goes on. And you see him, he's actually, I'm like, are my eyes deceiving me here? Because he starts backing Justin Gaethje up, and Gaethje's tucking up a bit, and he does this a lot better than Paddy does, in my opinion, to stay in it, meaning to not take too much damage. Not that he was ever in any danger in round 5, because I think he was the aggressor in that round generally. But just seeing Paddy unloading on Gaethje against the cage in round 5, you just have to say, wow, man. Because just when you think you're fucked here, he finds another gear. He just gets something from somewhere, and he says, I'm still in this fucking fight, me. Like, now the round ends, they're both just swinging at each other like lunatics. And yeah, Justin won the fight. I think overall, the more damaging shots over the 5 round, they definitely came from him. But again, I think that this is a fight that Paddy can learn a lot from if he's humble enough and honest with himself enough to look back at that and examine every single place he went wrong. Because he had the will, you know. He passed the man test in order to beat Justin Gaethje. He was willing to do whatever it took to beat him. He just didn't pass the skill test. And that means it's doable. But there's been times in the past where people have said things about Paddy's weaknesses, and he's just not addressed them. And they were exposed in this fight. You can get away with certain things at lesser levels, but at the top level, which Justin Gaethje has been at for a long time, you're not going to. And despite some of the improvements I see in the stand-up and how he mixes things up now, his chin is so out there, it's out clubbing. It's gone to Ibiza and it's gone raving. That's how out it is. It's out. And whenever he was getting any momentum going, Justin, because that chin is so out there, clattered it and regained control of the fight. And this is something that Paddy has been told about for years now. Teddy Atlas has even been on about it and saying, you know, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I think when it's been working and you're getting away with it, there's not the level of urgency to put things right that there should be. That needs to be there now. Because the minute you close that distance on Paddy, there's not an easier fighter to hit in the lightweight division, in my opinion. That shouldn't be the case for how highly rated he is. And look, he has got a hell of a fucking chin, and I am impressed with the balls he showed. But you can't do that to Ilia Topuria. Topuria would have slept him in that fight. And that's actually something that he needs to accept, acknowledge, and as much as what ego, and you want to be like, I'd beat him, no, you wouldn't, mate. Until you put this right, you haven't got a chance of beating him. And I'm saying that as someone who would love to see Paddy lift a UFC title. You just can't do that with a fighter of that level who's that one-touch knockout power. You're not going to be able to get tagged all night and just keep going. I think also a thing that Paddy needs to work on is listening to his coaches. Like, they were telling him from so early on, get the fucking takedown, go for it. There was no setup. There was no attempt. Why? Because I can't blame them for a lack of a game plan when they're telling him what to do and he's ignoring them. I know Gaethje's hard to take down. He's got good fucking wrestling. But it wasn't like he really tried and failed until the end when he had no energy left. No point going for a takedown and trying to submit the guy when your arms are like jelly and you got nothing, no energy in your legs to get the fucking takedown. And if it's stubbornness, like, oh, I'm just going to beat him at his own game, well, you know, when you were getting tagged as much as you were, you should have pivoted. And if he watches this, he might think, you ain't got a fucking clue, mate, you've never been in there. Yeah, maybe not. But I definitely believe that it would have given him a much better chance of winning that fight if he had have put more energy into a path that he has a better chance of winning this fight. And if you look at the submission defeats that Justin Gaethje has had, Paddy is a very good submission artist. I just think it would have been the smarter move. And it's not like there weren't opportunities. There were moments where Paddy was getting the best of Justin in the exchanges, and Justin did take a second of, whoa, like, I'm getting caught here. He could have jumped on him then and grabbed the legs and fucking dove on him and just done everything he possibly could in that moment to take that opportunity. And he just sort of fell in love with the hands a bit. So there's plenty for him to work on, but I do think in most people's eyes, Paddy still went up a level tonight in the way we look at him. He proved something that he's never proven before. He was in with the best guy he's ever been in there with, and he didn't just get smashed to bits. He stayed in there to the bitter end and made a fucking dogfight out of it. But Justin Gaethje was the better man. Now, the real champ, Ilia Topuria, has had quite a bit to say about this on X. Little sausage, the only thing you had to do was beat a 38-year-old guy. I mean, he's a fucking hell of a 38-year-old guy, Justin Gaethje, but yeah. You just lost a biggest paycheck of your life. You were going to get rich if you won. Justin, all I can say is congratulations, and I'd like to tell you to get ready, but you're screwed no matter what. Topuria is a bit of a star, man. I like the way he talks. He's an entertaining guy, and he's right about the money, man. Like, Topuria versus Paddy, if Paddy won this, that would have been like Aldo versus McGregor. Like, that would have been the closest thing we've had to that fight since that fight. And I know you're wondering, well, I'll mention Conor McGregor's name in a UFC video. Bingo card, stamp it. It would have, though. Because Topuria, like Aldo, looks fucking unbeatable. And with that momentum and with that personality, Paddy it would have been a mega event. And it is a fucking shame. They could have done Anfield, it could have, or Madrid, or like a stadium. It would have been fucking mint. I just hope Paddy can come again. And I do want to give him extra credit as well, because I think when he mentions men's mental health in his post-fight interviews and stuff like that, there's a lot of nonsense gets chatted in these post-match interviews. And he actually uses those moments, not for himself, but for the greater good. And I think you can tell he's a good bloke. I know fighters can piss people off, but I admire him for that. Now let's talk about the co-main event. Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. Obviously, Sean O'Malley no longer the champion. He's on the road back to a title shot. Song Yadong, he's a good, well-rounded fighter. You know, he's definitely not an easy challenge, but I was just underwhelmed from Sean O'Malley, because I think his skills are really, really high. You know, if you were to compare this to the last fight with Paddy, I think Paddy's skills need to evolve, but I think up here and in here, he's where he needs to be, you know, have that championship mentality. But with Sean, I think it's the other way around. I think his skills are elite, but I just think mentally, I don't know if he wants it bad enough. I don't feel like he's in there thinking, I need to die to get this fight won, you know. He's quite a chilled out guy in his podcast, a very likable guy. I don't know if his makeup is that of a dominant champion that he can ever become that. And it was funny, they said this in the Justin Gaethje fight when he was pressuring Paddy. They were like, pressure makes champions. That's the way champions who have dominant runs fight. They are on the front foot, they're in your face, and they bully you. And not always, but often that is the way. And Sean O'Malley is just content to go on the back foot and, you know, try and pick you apart. And there's no real urgency there. There's no real desperation for him to win. If he loses the decision, loses the decision. He's not going to panic about it. He's not going to risk anything in order to force the issue. He's going to wait, let you make the first move, try and counter you, and if that doesn't work, well, fuck it. And if you fight in most of your fights like that, you with the skill level he's got, he can outpoint people and he can make it back to a world title fight. But when you're consistently not in the dark place that you need to be in order to win a world title and to prize a belt from the very, very best fighters, when you finally get in there with one of those guys who, they fight like that all the time, you're out of your comfort zone. And you're not ready for it. And look, he did enough to win, and it was very much I'm going to fight well enough to win by points decision. And if a knockout falls in my lap, great. But most of all, I'm not trying to get knocked out here. I'm not trying to take too many risks. And I just don't think that the way he thinks is the recipe to be where he would like to be, which is a dominant champion. He's just too chill. And look, fucking great fighter, very talented, but he's missing that secret ingredient. On to Derek Lewis versus Cortez Acosta. Derek Lewis, obviously amazing reputation of being this knockout artist, but my God, it wasn't good. Derek's feet were just so fucking slow, man. I mean, he literally looked like he'd done no cardio. Like, fuck all. There isn't a single fighter in the world who should be that bad at moving. Like, it's literally part of what you do, mate. And what's funny is, like, I'm a big dude. I've been trying to get my cardio better, work out more. I've trimmed down. Your movement goes through the roof. The minute you drop a bit of weight, your movement goes through the roof. I'm watching him going, I move 10 times better than you. And you're a fucking top 10 heavyweight in the UFC. What is wrong with this picture? You move like you're 50 years old, mate. And yes, has he got that power? Absolutely. Do you know what use that power was to him in that fight? Fuck all, because if the delivery system isn't in place to enforce that power, well, then it's useless. And the fact is, you got dropped by a fucking jab, mate. Anderson Silva, Forrest Griffin style, just a walk away fucking jab. It had nothing on it almost. But you were so exhausted from chasing this guy around because your cardio's so shit that you were totally ineffective. He'd quit before the jab even landed, in fact. He quit. And it's funny because we all want to be the knockout artist. Who wouldn't want to be in there and be able to have that level of power and just sleep people? But reality is, do you know what we admire probably even more than that? Gutsy fucking never say die motherfuckers. And he just quit. And he didn't just quit in the cage. He quit before he even made the walk. He quit in the gym. He quit when he didn't do the fucking hard work. And if you're a professional professional fighter, that's unacceptable, that, like. And he should be looking at the people around him, no, like, you know, and I'm sure he takes care of people with the money he makes and all that. You're fucking failing them, and you're failing yourself. When your cardio is that shit and you're a professional fighter, it's just a disgrace. And I think he needs to have a word with himself and just say, look, do I want to fucking do the work or do I want to retire? Because if you're going to keep turning up like that, it's just an embarrassment to the sport. So that was UFC 324. Fuck me. I remember when it was fucking UFC 46. Rose Namajunas, I thought, got robbed, by the way, but who cares? I mean, fuck me. There's a lot happening in MMA right now. You know, the UFC have just signed with Paramount. What will that do for the game? Obviously, there's a lot of people now saying, I'm actually paying to watch it now. And I was quite pleased that the fights were on a little bit earlier for us in the UK. It was only by an hour, but I'll fucking take it. We've got the UFC White House event coming up this year. Who the fuck is going to headline that? Rumours of Conor McGregor. Michael Chandler's just been shot down by Dana White, man. Fuck me. That poor bastard. I think that might be the most I've ever felt sorry for a fighter here, and that this man literally gave away years of his career. He went to WWE events calling out Conor McGregor. McGregor fucked him around, cancelled on him at the last minute, just never seemed to get fit. And now when McGregor is coming back, allegedly, it's like, nah, we're not going to go with Chandler. And then they mentioned Jorge Masvidal, which I was like, well, who else really? You can't have McGregor fight another guy in his prime. He's going to be so out of shape. He's going to be slow. He's not going to look like what he used to look like. No fucking way. You need another guy who's also from the same era as him. Masvidal is a fucking pay-per-view draw to some degree, especially if you combine those two together. Boom. Why not? Dana then shuts that down as well, apparently. So fuck knows what's going to happen. Probably Nate Diaz 3. I would imagine that's the fight that they'll go with. And really, it's another safe option for McGregor where you think, well, could be competitive. And then we've also got Zuffa Boxing now around, which Dana White trying to take over the sport of boxing. Rumored to be negotiating with Alexander Usyk. Imagine if you sign Usyk within the first couple of months of your promotion starting. That is the statement of fucking statements. Then all the other promoters know it's on. Oh no, I'm not playing. But then you've got the question that a lot of MMA fans have been asking of, is Dana's heart still in MMA? Can he conquer another sport while running and the empire that he's already built? It's going to be complicated this year, and there's a lot for us to keep talking about. So for that reason, you have to stay subscribed to the Pain Game YouTube channel. Appreciate all of the support I get on this channel. If you haven't already, let us know what you thought of the fight in the comments below. Stay subscribed, hit the like button. I'll catch you on the next one.